Let me tell you what I think they have been the 5 most important things to happen in La Liga this weekend. Starting with Zidane and Real Madrid. A draw, which meant that 2-2 against Levante away. They were ahead. For the 4th time this season, they've been ahead and dropped points. For the 10th time this season, out of 21 league games, they actually dropped points. That's why they're 4th in the table. But there are reasons for it. They only kept 7 clean sheets in the whole season so far. Out of all the games in all competitions, it's 38 games, 37 goals conceded. So defensively, they know well, but they're not scoring either. Only 2 goals in La Liga for Benzema, 8 goals from Cristiano in La Liga. There is a matter of mentality and concentration. They don't defend well when they counter-attack, when they lose the ball. Levante realized that. They don't track back with pace and with order. So Levante realized that that's the way to attack Real Madrid. So they dropped deep and did exactly that. But also, both goals were lack of attention from Sergio Ramos and from Carvajal, who did not defend well the space left in behind. So you've got all that, and Zinedine Zidane has realised that they're not sharp, and he started doing a kind of pre-season within the season. Started last week, will continue this week, because they are what they call clean weeks, where there is no midweek games. With the idea of being sharp enough against PSG and the rest of the season. But if they don't qualify to the next round of the Champions League after PSG, there'll be nothing to play for, really, apart from defending that 4th place, which is unbelievable, having come from 3 Champions League in 4 years and having won the league last season as well. So there is not enough coming from the bench. Only 1 point have been won by the players coming from the bench, compared to 5 points at this stage last season when they had Morata and James. So Real Madrid are giving less. The regulars are giving less, the bench are giving less, and Zinedine Zidane doesn't seem able to stop this negative dynamic. 2, Barcelona without Messi. That's what you've seen. Messi was on the bench, was already on the bench against Juventus and against Sporting Lisbon, but was on the bench in the derby against Espanyol. 1-1 was the final result, and what you saw was, for 3/4 of the game, a Barcelona that had not enough creativity. Coutinho was trying to fill that gap. He was playing on the left, but coming inside, playing in the pockets between the lines, but did not create enough. He needs to be faster in the way he reacts, and of course he needs to be braver when he's got the ball. Without Messi, this Barcelona is a Barcelona that suffers lack of creativity, but who wouldn't when you have the best player in the world? Messi came on, Jordi Alba, who was on the bench, Rakitic did not start either, the fullbacks did not start either. They of course are in the middle of 2 semi-finals against Valencia. Well, all that meant that it was a much equal derby than usual. Espanyol have managed to get, a very good Espanyol actually on this occasion, managed to get 1 victory, 1 draw and 1 defeat against Barcelona in the last 2 weeks. Of course, 2 in the Cup and 1 in the league. And that's good news for Espanyol, that perhaps deserve more in that game. The star of the game, it was Piqué, who not only scored the 1-1, but also decided to shut up the fans of Espanyol. 3 things to say about this. 1, the fans of Espanyol should not insult his wife or his son. Espanyol should be punished for it. 2, Piqué shouldn't celebrate that way, and he should be punished for it as well, because he provokes, and players shouldn't do that. No need to do that, really. And 3, the rivalry is spicy again, and that's really good news, I feel. There was incidents in the tunnel. Umtiti says that Sergio Garcia insulted him racially. It was a racial insult, which has to look into, and if that's the case, Sergio Garcia will have to be punished. But there was intensity in that derby. When Barcelona feels that Espanyol is close, they also get unsettled. Espanyol likes to play these games with a lot of intensity, but the results suggest that they actually now have got weapons to stop this Barcelona. So from that point of view, it was a typical and good derby like the old times. 3, Atletico Madrid got the victory against Valencia. It was 1-0. It was an offensive Atletico Madrid. They had Saúl and Coque, which is something that Simeone has been trying in the centre of the midfield, has been trying for 2 years, but not regularly enough. He prefers to play Gavi in the big games, for instance. So they had Carrasco and Correa in the wings with Griezmann and Costa. Really offensive team, but it was the old Atletico Madrid. They fought every ball. They defended well, defended as a unit, and that was why Valencia did not have many chances. So Correa with the goal, the best version of Correa we're seeing at the moment. A fantastic shoot from outside the box. He's only short, the one with the dribbles, the one with the creativity in small spaces. But we have not seen this power from shooting from distance. But it was a fantastic goal, the one that meant the 3 points for Atletico Madrid. And there was another moment of where Griezmann stopped a counter-attacking. It was in the last 10 minutes of the game. He had the opportunity to run into space, decided to stop and wait for everybody else. And the fans of Atletico Madrid criticized him, started booing him. And he turned round to them and says, "What are you talking about? It was a good decision." To which, of course, Simeone agreed in the press conference. But that reaction from Griezmann suggests that he's got nothing to hide, doesn't want to hide anything. He won't be there next season for Atletico Madrid, I'm pretty sure of that. And his behaviour suggests that as well. But Atletico Madrid are now 9 points away from Barcelona, only 9, and 9 points away from Valencia on third. So they've got a very good cushion of points there. It's 10 points from Real Madrid, who are on fourth. So Atletico Madrid are definitely meeting the targets, having failed in the Champions League and having failed in the Cup. This is the way of saving the season, of course. So at the end of the season, Simeone can say, we met the targets. Valencia were disappointing against Atletico Madrid, especially with the ball. Without Guedes, who of course is injured after that clash with Sergi Roberto, meant that the team did not have enough creativity. They are in the middle of a semi-final against Barcelona, so Rodrigo, for instance, the other creative player they have up front, was on the bench, and interestingly enough, Marcelino did not actually use the 3 substitutions. So he probably feels that there is not enough coming from the bench. Injuries are affecting this Valencia side that are doing very well compared to last season anyway. So they still got the opportunity, having lost only 1-0 against Barcelona, of qualifying for the final of the Cup. So we'll see what happens at the Mestalla in midweek. And finally, Sevilla is the 5th defeat. It was 5-1 against Getafe, 5th defeat in 8 games, which is not the usual Sevilla, but things are happening in Sevilla. Montella, 1 victory, 1 draw, 3 defeats. He had kept the same team for 6 games, more or less, but then managed to put the 3 new players that have come in, plus another one that is coming back from injury, and did not work. The team lack intensity, physically they seem quite weak, and I think perhaps we're seeing the consequence of the change that Sevilla tried to do. Unai Emery was a typical Sevilla that was strong, counter-attacking Sevilla, physically very sound. But then they decided that that was not attractive enough to the fans, so they brought Sampaoli and a different style of football. That brought different type of players. But with Montella, what they want is to bring back Unai Emery. The problem is they don't have those players anymore that Emery had. So there's a clash of the mentality of the coach with what he has at his disposal. They are 6 points away from Real Madrid in the 4th position. Sevilla 6 points behind. So that means, of course, that they want to have to push, give a big push to get to the top 4. They need to get to 4, or they will have to sell players, because this is the biggest budget that Sevilla has had, the biggest expenditure in players, and it's not been reflected in results. Right now, Manchester United is better prepared to go to the next round of the Champions League than this Sevilla that don't seem to have the consistency or the defensive structure strong enough to actually go through. Certainly at this stage you have to say that Manchester United are favourites to go to the next round of the Champions League.